They told her she didn't belong in the Skyren division. Not ruthless enough, not loud enough, not built for the kill. Sergeant Kalia Thorne didn't argue. She just took the dismissal papers, folded them once, and walked off the range at Fort Cavenreach in silence. Behind her, the whispers had already started. 3 weeks in and she's still trailing every drill. Whisper line. Someone muttered, "She's not training, she's haunting the place." Kalia didn't respond. She never did. She returned to her bunk, reached beneath it, and drew out something no one had seen her use. A personal rifle. Not regulation, not recent, customized, weathered, scarred from places no one dared ask about. But she didn't shoulder it. Not yet. She simply set it on the bed, began cleaning it, every motion precise, mechanical, silent. That morning, as fog clung to the hills, the candidates assembled on the Skyrend yard, gear checks, wind sheets, rifle breakdowns. Everyone moved with urgency, except Kalia. She sat alone on a low concrete block, tightening a bolt like she had all the time in the world. Expression unreadable, breath steady, from across the range. Candidate Trell Norin scoffed. Whisper line still pretending to matter, he muttered. Bet she skips the pit run. But the jokes died down when Chief Warder Malric Vone arrived. 2 minutes to first drill, he barked, pausing at Kalia's station. Try not to come in dead last again. Thorne? She didn't speak, didn't flinch, just a slight nod, and back to the bolt. The timed assembly began. Parts flew, screws slammed into receivers, candidates shouted done like it was a war cry. Trell Norin finished first. Kalia finished last, 40 seconds behind. But when the rifles were inspected, only one was flawless, hers. Vone's voice cut like ice. Precision means nothing if you die before you take the shot. He didn't even look at the others, only her. Later, during wind spotting, she called corrections no one else saw. They laughed until the impacts proved her right. At lunch, she sat alone, again. You know why they call her Whisper Line? Norin smirked. Because she's not hiding. She's just not there. After the obstacle course, silent, methodical, unshaken, he was waiting. Some threats need to be dropped fast. He said, not perfectly. What would you do? Whisperline asked the enemy to hold still. She didn't blink, didn't look, didn't care. That afternoon, she was summoned. Vone sat behind his desk, 2 instructors flanking him. Papers ready. You're a brilliant technician, Sergeant, he said flatly. But we're not training calculators, we're training killers. No badge, no ceremony, just silence and a discharge order. For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Not anger, not sadness, recognition, then nothing. She saluted, turned, and walked out. No protest, no pause. Just the steady step of someone who'd already survived worse. She packed like she moved precise, silent, invisible. Sergeant Kalia Thorne folded her clothing with geometric care. Every motion measured, nothing wasted. From beneath the final layer, she retrieved a battered satellite phone, its interface set to a language few on base could identify. She read the brief coded message, responded. The entire exchange lasted seconds. Then she placed the phone back into her pocket. No breath, no hesitation. Just one final motion reaching under the bunk for her rifle case. It wasn't standard issue. It was scarred, tagged with worn custom stamps, and sealed with the calm precision of someone who'd never intended to stay. She stepped out into the pale afternoon light, already knowing where she was going. Outside the mess hall, Trell Norin stood smirking. Well, look who's finally packing out. Guess even the Whisper Line knows when to quit. He called. Place isn't for librarians. A few others chuckled. But Kalia didn't break stride. She turned not toward the exit gate, but toward Range 9. At that exact moment, deep in the administrative wing, Chief Warder Malric Vone was halfway through her discharge paperwork when Instructor Bex Rowan burst into the office. Sir, You need to come to the long-range platform, now." Vaughn paused, pen still in hand. "You sure she's out there, with a weapon that's not ours?" The 200-yard range was quiet. Wind whispered through the ravine like a breath withheld. Even the birds seemed to be watching. At the furthest station, a lone figure adjusted her scope over a blackened custom rifle. Kalia Thorne. The weapon wasn't division issue, custom-built, field-aged, and optimized for one purpose: extreme distance elimination in unstable environments. The target, set at a distance none of the instructors had attempted all day, held 3 shots. Tight triangle, dead center, smaller than a playing card. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Vaughn snapped as he approached. "You've been dismissed." Kalia said nothing. She simply handed him the rifle, and that's when he saw it beneath the scope mount. Lines of engraving, coordinates, dates, confirmed eliminations across 12 nations, and at the bottom directive Solvale target S-13 neutralized 620 HRS. Vaughn froze. That mission wasn't just classified, it wasn't supposed to exist. It was a ghost story whispered inside black tier briefing circles. A memory he should never have. Behind him, Rowan stepped closer. One glance was enough. She pulled out her encrypted comms. Colonel Darren Cast had been tracking Kalia's movements ever since the discharge order hit the system. 15 minutes later, a black SUV rolled to the range gate. A silver-haired man in civilian clothes stepped out flanked by 2 silent operatives. He walked straight to Vaughn, Chief Warder. He nodded. "I see you've met our whisper line. Sir Colonel Darren Cast, Strategic Oversight Cell. He didn't wait for permission. His eyes were already on Kalia. Let's continue this somewhere more secure." "How did you stay so calm?" Trell Norin asked. "When everyone doubted you. When we all thought Sergeant Kalia Thorne looked at him for the first time that morning. Measured, steady." Then she answered, "Because this isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's about the mission. Always the mission." He nodded, slowly, and walked away. Behind him, Chief Warder Malric Vaughn approached. "That was impressive," he admitted. "But I still have questions. I imagine you do." He lowered his voice. "Directive Solvale. That was the elimination of Varlan Cades. Wasn't it the intelligence handler in Arkesh province, officially taken out by a drone strike?" Kalia's eyes met his, just briefly. "You know I can't confirm operational details. There was no drone." "Was there?" She didn't blink. "My rifle doesn't talk. Chief, it's just a tool." He studied her in silence, then finally spoke. "Command wants you heading up sniper training. Not just here, across the entire division network. They're calling it the Precision Veil Protocol. You're the face of it now." Her expression darkened. "I don't want to be a face. I work better in the dark." Vaughn folded his arms. "Sometimes we don't get what we want. Sometimes we serve where we're needed." That evening, Colonel Darren Cast convened a small meeting in the officers' mess. Present Vaughn, Instructor Bex Rowan, and 3 other senior staff cleared for black tier briefings. Kalia entered last, as always, quiet, sharp, unreadable. "Gentlemen," Cast began, "what I'm about to share is classified beyond TSSI." He tapped his secure tablet, revealing a map dotted with red markers. 8 years ago, during basic training, Kalia Thorne was flagged for extraordinary marksmanship, but instead of entering a traditional sniper pipeline, she was rerouted into Obsidian Mark. "I've never heard of that program." Rowan said, "You're not supposed to." Cast replied, "That's the point." He swiped through redacted files. Obsidian Mark trained solo operators for deep infiltration. They weren't soldiers, they were phantoms. Female operators, Vaughn asked. "Precisely. Women are socially invisible in many regions. They pass where male agents can't. No alarms, no second glances." Kalia didn't speak. She didn't need to. Cast continued. In 27 missions across 16 countries, she executed long-range precision from urban apartments, rooftops, jungle blinds, and frozen ridge lines. Vaughn leaned forward. That shot in the dusk line hurricane op over 2 miles. Through a collapsing wind corridor, Kost nodded. Case Phantom Rain, target tied to 3 embassy bombings. Local forces couldn't touch him. Kalia posed as a wildlife photographer for 6 weeks. Took the shot during a Category 2 hurricane. 1 round, 1 elimination. Silence. Why pull her in? Rowan asked. She's not burned. Kalia answered softly. I asked. They turned to her. 8 years is a long time to be invisible. She said, I've done my part in the field. Now I teach others to disappear. The next morning, she led the Skyren candidates into the woods. Their assignment: build observational hides. No shooting, no movement, just surveillance. 2 hours later, she called them back. You're all dead, she said flatly. What Trell Noren protested, we had clear sight lines. Natural concealment. Yes, she replied. But from where I was positioned, I saw every one of you. You chose spots based on what you could see, not on what could see you. She led them to her own setup, barely visible, built into the landscape, limited view, 0 exposure, shielded from thermal by nearby rock. Sometimes, she said, your job is not to shoot. It's to survive long enough to know when not to. Even Noren was quiet now, by sundown. None of them doubted why the ghost was now their teacher. What exactly would you call your role? Sergeant Thorne, Chief Warder Vaughn's question hung in the late evening air. Kalia considered it, eyes fixed on the distant horizon as the sun painted Fort Cavan Reach's ridgelines in burnished gold. I'm a ghost, who sometimes becomes a weapon, nothing more. Vaughn nodded, watching her settle into prone position at the edge of range 12. In all my years, I've never seen anyone shoot like you. Kalia gave the faintest smile. You still haven't seen me at my best. She adjusted the scope, exhaled slowly, and pulled the trigger. The target, nearly invisible to the naked eye, rang seconds later, a distant echo swallowed by wind. Vaughn watched her stand and shoulder her rifle. You ever meet someone who never asked for recognition? He mused. But deserved more than anyone else, Kalia simply replied. Those are the ones who get the job done. He asked her what's next. She gave a shrug and a rare, genuine smile. That's classified. Over the next few weeks, the entire Skyren division changed. What began as whispers of Whisperline turned into something else. Respect, curiosity, reluctant admiration. Kalia wasn't just another instructor. She was the reason the manual got rewritten. Gone were the drills focused only on speed and aggression. In their place, patience, awareness, invisibility, restraint. Today, she said one morning, we talk about something none of you were trained for. The psychology of the long wait. The class exchanged puzzled looks. Kalia began to pace, controlled, unrushed. The snow line ended 20 miles south of the ridge, but elevation changed everything. Captain Mercer's team moved in staggered ascent formation, flanking the stone ledge above Valley Echo. Kalia Thorne didn't climb with them. She was already there, stretched prone across a frozen ledge, her body perfectly still beneath a camouflaged shroud. Rifle balanced atop a rock scarred by wind and time. Through her scope, she could see the target building a cold concrete relay post halfway up the opposing ridge. What they didn't know was that the relay wasn't just broadcasting encrypted signals. It was a kill switch uplink, and someone was guarding it. 3 sentries, 1 drone, thermal sweep every 22 seconds. Standard teams would have waited for nightfall or air support. Kalia didn't. She adjusted for wind shear, then spoke into comms flat. Even, target Alpha neutral, Bravo holding, Charlie sweeping pattern rotate in 14. Copy, Mercer whispered. How the hell did she know that Sergeant Rollins exhaled? She's not predicting, she's remembering. The shot came a second later, silenced, precise. The first sentry dropped without sound. The drone blinked, then spiraled. Within 8 seconds, the perimeter was blind. Mercer gave the signal. His team advanced, entry cleared, but just as they breached. Static hit the comms, then silence. Callia's pulse didn't change. She simply checked the pattern of birds in the lower valley. They weren't flying. They were fleeing. She reached into her coat, switched frequencies, and herded a secondary team unlisted circling behind Mercer's squad. Close range, no insignia. She didn't hesitate. She moved. Later, they would try to reconstruct what happened, but no one could explain how a lone woman appeared inside the compound before the breach team even reached the door. How one rifle, no backup, cleared an entire side corridor. How a 6-man fire team surrounded found every threat already neutralized by the time they crossed the final threshold. No one, except Mercer. When they regrouped outside, frost clinging to their gear and blood cooling on the mountain floor. He pulled Callia aside. That was Coast Province all over again. He muttered, "Wasn't it?" She said nothing, just scanned the sky, then quietly replied, this time, "I wasn't too late." At Fort Cavenreach, a week later, Chief Warder Vaughn stood beside Colonel Cost as candidates trained on Range 11. She'll never brief it. "You know," Vaughn said. Cost nodded. "She doesn't need to." They watched from the tower as recruits tried to replicate a 4-angle wind compensation drill, one she designed, one they still couldn't beat. "But you should know," Cost added. "HQ wants the whisper line method formalized. Instructorship, global doctrine." Vaughn smiled. "You're asking her to train an army of ghosts?" "No," Cost corrected. "We're asking her to make sure the next time something like Coast Province happens, there's more than one Callia Thorn on the map." That night, under dim barracks light, Callia cleaned her rifle as always, but this time, she paused. She reached for a case she never opened. Inside her original field log, water damaged, worn. She flipped to a page marked only by a bloodstain, then added a single line in ink Delharan uplink. 6 saved, Winza, no names lost. The mission was still the same, but this time she got to write the ending. "The longest I've held a hide position, 17 days. No resupply, no radio, just me, a scope, and a door the target might never walk through." One recruit raised his hand, hesitant, with respect. "Sergeant, that sounds beyond even special operations." "It is," she agreed, "but the discipline it demands is relevant to every shot you'll ever take." She outlined silent techniques, mental resets without stimulants, patterns to counter sensory fatigue, how to tame your own heartbeat when time stretches thin. The terrain isn't your enemy. The weather isn't your enemy. Your mind is. She paused. It'll tell you to move when you should stay still, to fire when you should wait, to doubt when you should trust your training. Later that day, Vaughn caught her outside the training bay. "Hammond wants a status update." Callia gave a faint nod. "It's going." "That's it," she sighed. "You want me to say they're resisting, that I still feel like a ghost in this program, or that maybe, just maybe, they're starting to listen because results are louder than tradition?" Vaughn chuckled. "Now that's a report." But then his tone shifted. "There's been a request. North Carolina. Not combat consultation. Special forces team prepping for a mountain op. They need your kind of precision." "I'm not operational anymore," she replied. "You don't have to be. 3 days. Just show them what you know." Callia looked out across the empty range. "When's the bird leave 0700? It's already cleared through Cost." The next day, she stepped off the transport onto a tarmac in Camp Delharan, waiting for her Captain Mercer, tall, quiet, with the wary calm of someone who's been at war too long. "Sergeant Thorne," he said, shaking her hand. "Appreciate the short notice." She nodded. "Your team's been briefed on what we were cleared to know," as they walked toward the convoy. He added softly, "I heard about Coast Province, 2019. Callia raised an eyebrow. "That's not in my file." "No, it's not." He smiled faintly. "But stories circulate." His team of 6 had already begun drills, veterans, confident, mechanical in movement. Mercer called them in. "Gentlemen, our guest has arrived." She recognized the look they gave her. Same one she got at Cavan Reach. Doubt disguised as respect. "This is Sergeant Callia Thorne. She'll be instructing you in advanced mountain shooting techniques." Master Sergeant Rollins stepped forward. "With all due respect, ma'am, we're all qualified experts. A few of us hold sniper tabs." Callia met his gaze, calm, unflinching. "I'm not here to teach you what you know. I'm here to show you what you've been told is impossible." She turned to Mercer. "Is the range set the way I requested?" He nodded. "Per your specs. Distances range from 600 to 1700 yards. Then let's begin." She faced the team. "Today is assessment. Tomorrow, we fix what I see." By sundown, not one of them had landed a hit past 1300 yards. Gusts shifted too quickly, angles too sharp. Confidence gave way to frustration. "This is impossible," Rollins muttered. Callia opened her rifle case. "Custom stock, modified glass, weathered barrel. It's not impossible. You're fighting the mountain. I work with it." She took one shot. The target sang. Silence.